Be professional. Okay, welcome back to Offensive Points, your one-stop shop for all things fantasy football. I'm one of your hosts, Joe, along with Josh and Billy, and we're deep diving into NFL Week 9 on the IDP Plus Network. So let's talk some shop. Are the Vikings a fraud? Are they a legit contender? What are we thinking about these rookie wideouts, Malik Nabers and McConkey? And we'll also break down the enigma that is Rachaad White. And what's the deal with Cedric Tillman? Is he a breakout candidate or is this just noise? I don't know. All that and more on this episode of Offensive Points. Let's get to it, possums.
Guys, I know that that's all important news, but we really need to talk about something that I found out about Joe the other day. Man doesn't use condiments. I was talking about mustard, and I was just, sorry, Billy, not about you. But we were just talking about mustard, and I was like, ugh, it's not my favorite or whatever. And Joe's just like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really use condiments. And I was like, for French fries and like
I thought
sandwiches?
You were going to say condoms. I forgot about this conversation.
My eyebrows were raised with like, Josh,
sauces.
What are we doing a minute into the
sauces? Sauces, okay. Guys, come on, get your heads out of the gutter. But Joe doesn't use
always
sauces,
use a condiment. Okay.
I just needed to talk about always use a condiment. You're going to eat those fries dry? Come on, let's calm down. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about mine. Thousand Island all day, every day. It hits everything. Or spread for those West Coast people. In and out. Fucking jerks.
Can you just buy Thousand Island?
Yeah, but like it's not the same, with In-N-Out's the best burger out there other than Five Guys. So, I mean, it's pretty tough.
Sucks, dude.
Well, it's because you don't like fucking sauces. I mean, I thought that was pretty clear on the start here.
Fighting words. I'm a Whataburger guy.
I'm a Whataburger guy too. Billy introduced me to Whataburger, and In-N-Out sucks. And I don't really like condiments, dude.
When was the last time you had
them on like a brat? Vegas.
How many other times have you had In-N-Out?
Probably like 5.
I don't believe you. You're a liar. You don't like sauces. You're it's irrelevant because you don't want the spread. You don't want to. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Let's actually just move past this.
You're gonna say it's irrelevant on voting week, dude?
It's good. I've had In-N-Out one time.
I didn't say your vote was irrelevant.
No, I put like horseradish on like roast beef, and I like relish on a brat with some onions.
God, why wouldn't you like weird stuff like that? You also eat olives on your pizza, so
dude, olives are the best food humanity has ever found growing on a tree.
I will say olive trees make a lot of stuff. Like you got olive oil out of that. You got the gross olives that Joe just wants to eat, and it also makes cork. For like all the wine bottles, they just drill holes in them and steal corks basically, and they keep growing the tree, and then they do it again. It's great. It's crazy.
Yeah, name another tree where you can just do everything with it.
I can't name one.
No, olives.
All right. Well, I'm glad we had this topic. Yeah, we can get there. I just had to get that condiment talk out of the way.
Wrap it up and do or do not use condiments. Whatever. Brought to you by Offensive Points and Durex.
We are not sponsored by either of those yet.
And Heinz.
Yeah, I've had In-N-Out once. It was good. All right. Do we want to talk some football, or do we, have anything else we need to get off our chest?
I probably have more, but we should probably talk about football. That is what the people are here for.
I want to talk about waivers.
Okay. What do you got to say about waivers, Joe?
Okay, I'm so tired of every article that I read on a Tuesday or Monday or whatever I look at being like, oh, you should go get, like this week, go get Cedric Tillman. Okay. Go get this person. They're already picked. Every league I am in, these guys are picked. I want to know what league people are writing these for. I understand that we give advice to the general public, might not pay as much attention to us, but I'll tell you how to win your leagues, guys. Go get these guys before they break out. It's like Amari Cooper gets traded to the Bills. You look at Jerry Jeudy sucks. We've established this for 6 fucking years. Who's the other guy up? It's probably Cedric Tillman, who we all liked coming out of college. I mean, pick him up, throw him on your roster, see what happens. If he sucks, drop him. Tyrone Tracy. We knew Devin Singletary was not the bee's knees. We knew we liked Dable. We liked Tyrone Tracy coming out, even though he was the next wide receiver. Now he's playing running back. You draft him. You leave him on your bench for 4 or 5 weeks. If you have to drop him, you can drop him. But these guys should be on people's rosters already. And it pisses me off that there are leagues where that information is relevant. What are we doing?
So these are actually poor examples. There are worse examples out there that are like, go pick up Keon Coleman, who's been rostered in 70% of leagues throughout the entire year. And they're like, yeah, you could just go pick him up right now. And it's like, and there's like always, every time I look at the pickups, I don't even look at them anymore. But when I do, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? You're like talking about like, oh man, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. His name's Aaron Jones. You should go pick him up off of waivers. And it's like, because you saw him in a league because some silly person dropped him, like, let's calm down. You can't put waivers on everyone. Everybody's really stretching those waiver wire weeks. There's one or two guys each week. We all see it in our leagues. It's, this week it was Parker Washington. Everyone rushed to go get him, and I guess Jalen Coker. Like that, those are good examples of waiver wire pickups. People who nobody was really rostering in a 10-man, 12-man league. But some of the people, I do agree with Joe. There's some ridiculous articles out there like, did you know that you could go pick up, I don't know, Devontae Smith right now, like, and have him on your team? And it's like, thanks, man, that helped.
But you can't.
You can't.
And I just expect more from the industry or the general fantasy football community. Billy, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Billy, you got a rant too, man. I feel like we're both on one right now.
Huh?
So I feel like we both were on one. Like, do you have a rant that you'd like to get off your chest as well?
I mean, I do, but about this particular topic, not really. I mean, yeah, I think there's mainly a lot of like 8-man leagues out there, and it's kind of skewing the stats as far as like who's available and who's not, because every team's like a superhero team, and so it leaves these guys like Cedric Tillman to be on the waiver wire. And I think there's a lot more of those leagues than we want to admit. I mean, the show was based off of an 8-man league. Like, I think
our league started as an 8-man league.
Our league, yeah, started as an 8-man league. I think they're a lot more common than we think, and I think that skews the stats as far as like how people aren't rostered. We play in some crazy ass leagues, and I can understand why we're seeing it from this side of the coin as being like, oh wow, that person's available. That's fucking nuts. When it's like, most leagues they might be available though.
My favorite scene in the league, one of my favorite scenes, was when he was at the strip club and he was asking for fantasy advice from the stripper, and she's like, what are you, like 12-man, 14-man, IDP league? And he's like, no, 8-man league. But play in better leagues. And go pick up like guys like Marshawn Lloyd. He's coming back. Emmanuel Wilson was not him like some people thought. Adam Thielen should absolutely be rostered. He could be a game or an absolutely winning wide receiver by the end of the year. Go pick up people that matter. But I'm tired of taking a crap on Tuesday morning and opening my phone and scrolling, and it's nothing but, hey, go pick up this super obvious person that should not even be on a waiver wire. Pisses me off.
Yeah. Jonathan Brooks, for example. If Jonathan Brooks isn't on a roster, let's go pick him up now because he might be available this week. All right. I do have a rant before we even get started with the game previews. I'm assuming that's where we're going. If you both are going to get off a rant, I'm getting off one too. Joe, I'm sorry to switch from the light side to the dark side, but I'm here to switch to Josh's side. Anthony Richardson is a fucking bust, and I'm done seeing Anthony Richardson for the rest of his career. I don't think he's going to recover. I think he is this generation's Jamarcus
Take one for
Russell.
you.
And I don't think that we're ever going to see Anthony Richardson be successful. He does not have the mindset to be an elite athlete at this level. And that is not something that it doesn't matter how he's built, Joe. He's built like a god. However, he does not have the mentality to actually make it as a fucking professional athlete at this level. So he's just going to flame out, and he's going to be a backup for the next 3 or 4 years. And he's going to be the reclamation project for a couple more coordinators going forward of like, I'm going to make this guy a star, and it's never going to fucking happen. And we should have seen it when Shane Steichen already can't make him a star, that he's not going to become a star. Jalen Hurts did not take this long to show something, and Anthony Richardson has shown little to nothing other than he's got a strong arm, and he's weak as fuck with his legs. So, bust, it's over. Anthony Richardson can be dropped because he's never going to be relevant again.
Okay, I, like the person who said Anthony Richardson was overhyped, do not agree with you on that. I think there's some hope there. This is what he needs. He needed to sit behind someone in the first place.
Out of a fucking play. You know what that tells his teammates? That they're working hard and he's not. The team is fucking out on him. He cannot play with the Colts for at least the rest of the season, at least. Why would they believe in the guy? He tapped out of the game because he was tired. Why the fuck would you say that out loud? It's nuts. No, this guy's a joke.
Can I tap out of the podcast ever? Like, is that a thing? I should be like...
You all do it all the time, but we're not going to talk about that.
Damn.
Okay, do we want to talk about the
Just-
play that he tapped out on?
Maybe got a little intense there. Maybe got a little far.
I mean, he like on that play, just like I don't even know how to describe it. That's the noise that it sounded like in my head. But Will Anderson just got by Anthony Richardson. Should have been an easy sack, but he threw a grown man, a vicious defensive end of a human being, just right off of there. And then he tapped out. He might have been tired. I'm just saying. I'm not ready to give up on Anthony Richardson yet. We knew it was a problem when he was going into camp, and he was still complaining about soreness in his shoulder when he had the surgery in January to get that fixed. It should have been a problem. We should have been worried. Everyone was touting him as the QB1 overall, especially when Fishbowl draft started. Everyone was going in on him. His career is not over. The Colts are the Colts. They don't. I mean, unless you get Andrew Luck, you have a shitty quarterback. That's kind of where the Colts are. And he's not this generation's Jamarcus Russell, because Jamarcus Russell had way more hype than Anthony Richardson did. He is this generation's Bryce Young, which was in the same fucking class as him, and is arguably a worse quarterback.
Okay, just to break this down, the issue with Anthony Richardson is not his deep ball. We know that he can do that. The problem is he leans on it. Like, I swear he looks at the stat sheet. Like, he wants to look at that stat sheet and see 220 plus yards, whatever number he made up in his head. So he just throws 40-yard bombs and connects on one or two of them every once in a while. But he doesn't do anything intermediate. Like, he has not worked on himself as an intermediate passer. And you cannot thrive on just a deep ball. Like, Deshaun Jackson can't thrive on just the deep ball whenever he was there. I don't know why I always use him as an example. Maybe because of the Eagles stuff. But just in general, he has to learn how to throw the dump off, learn how to check down. He is a one-read guy, and I'm looking for the deep ball. Is it downs? Oh, he's strolling down the field. Oh, wait. He's not open. We're going to throw to the other side. It's deep ball or nothing for him, and that's the problem. Because the Colts are actually a pretty good team.
I agree, and I think that they're going to be a playoff team going forward with Flacco. I just don't think the team is with him anymore. I think that what happened on Sunday was one of the most egregious things I've ever seen in a football game. And then for one, why are we not I just don't think he has the want to learn this stuff. He's I'm just saying, Shane Steichen is no fucking pushover. He taught and molded Jalen Hurts to be better. And he is what he is today because of it, I think. And I just don't think Anthony Richardson has any plan or idea or want to learn to be that kind of quarterback. He wants to be a long ball guy, and he wants to trust his legs, which clearly he's made of freaking glass when it comes to the legs anyway. I don't know, man. I am out. At least with Bryce Young, at least he believes that he can be a better quarterback. He's just limited physically. If you could get Bryce Young's mind and Anthony Richardson's body, we'd be cooking right now. But they're two separate entities, and they both are having problems for almost the opposite reasons.
I think it's a little too soon to give up on Bryce as well, personally. I mean, the man's not great.
It's not over for him. It's just he's limited physically so much that, I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to have to figure out how to play the position way differently than any other quarterback because he doesn't.
I think it's just a problem with the NFL, honestly, because I get that 10 years ago, the rookies sat behind the starter, and that's not the situation anymore. But the NFL has gotten really lucky with guys like Stroud and Jaden Daniels this year, and these rookies coming in and just making a team competitive out of nowhere. When does this end? Is this here to stay or not? Because I think we're going to have to go back to developing quarterbacks.
Well, especially when there's an unknown issue.
It does happen that way. The problem is with Richardson, and this is I'm not the guy that does this. I'm the guy that says I'm fine if you're not good at the beginning. We're not going to write you off immediately. But Anthony Richardson doesn't appear to want to get better, and I don't think that at 22 years old. Yeah, at 22 years old, if you're already in the spot that you're in right now, I just don't see how you end up – I don't know how that changes. Somebody's going to have to pull him aside or something and get him – but, he has Joe Flacco there. Learn, man. Come on. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I mean, Justin Fields took it like a champ. I'll give him that. Like, he's out there cackling with Russell on the sidelines right now, and he just got benched for him.
It takes development for some guys that are in bad franchises. I mean, shit, Baker is just now good. Like, it took him a while. He was okay with Cleveland. I don't want to throw him under the bus that much. But, like, he's just now at the prime spot of his career. This is the best he's ever looked. And it took him a while. And if I thought Anthony Richardson had the same fire as Baker Mayfield, I would be like, okay, I believe in it. Or Jordan Love or Geno Smith or any of those guys. I don't know. Mentality.
Send him to McVay. Send him to the Rams. He'll be fine.
Okay. Well, again, if it's going to take McVay to make him a star, then I guess that's what we're going to have to do. But I don't think he's going to be good as a Colt ever at this point. I think Steichen needs to figure out a backup plan going forward. A real
man. We need to come up with a name for this segment, because I just like getting just everybody just gets something off their chest, man. That was really nice. I really appreciate it. I hope maybe the hostility carries over a little bit, but not as much. There's a lot of animosity coming from Bill's direction right now, but it's fine.
It was pretty therapeutic.
Dude, the tapping out thing just really like pissed me off, because I'm just like, can you imagine these O linemen that have to get kicked in the nuts by Will Anderson for the whole game, and the QB gets like, baby tackled, and he's just tapping out because he's tired? These motherfuckers are like, what are you talking about? You're tired? Are you kidding? Look what we're having to do the whole game. You're tired? I'm tired. I'm not going to tap out. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. It really irks me, man.
I think he could have worded this now that we got this up.
But I digress.
Yeah.
Let's stop the argument, guys. We understand you guys are on opposite sides of the fence. We know that I'm the.
I don't think it's an argument. I think that it's just a matter of what happens from here. I mean, there's just a ways to go. I see it.
We'll see. But anyway, Thursday night. Let's talk about it.
It's a spooky game.
Starts with the Halloween matchup of scary Aaron Rodgers versus CJ Stroud and the Tank Dells. What are we thinking about this depleted now Houston roster after Stephon Diggs was announced as being out for the season?
Well, so this is one thing that have actually been set up for really well. The Texans depth chart is deep when it comes to wide receiver, although some of these guys haven't had the chance to be featured. So I don't know if everybody knows, but Robert Woods is still on this team. I mean, he still exists. We got John Mechie. Obviously, we know he's kind of been waiting in the wings this whole time. And then Xavier Hutchinson. And then, of course, Tank Dell. So, I mean, they're not really a bad receiving core. Nico Collins comes back next week from IR. So, I mean, really, obviously, the Diggs situation hurts, especially. I did not realize that was an ACL until that news came out. It looked like, I don't know, calf, ankle. He just kind of hobbled off the field and he looked fine. I mean, would not have assumed ACL. So, definitely a hit.
The ball. That was impressive.
Definitely a hit to the team, but I think that this team's built to last, and I'd like to see one of these guys step up. I don't know who it is. I'd love to see it be John Mechie just because of his story, but we'll see.
Yeah, Mechie seems to be the Diggs replacement, so that'll be exciting to see. And I think Joe Mixon gets a great matchup. He's getting a ton of carries. I think they're just going to lean on him. The Jets' defense has been getting a little bit wrecked on by running backs the last couple games, so don't be afraid to start him. He's going to get all the offense. I know you're starting him anyway, but don't be worried about the matchup.
Yeah, I think your only real starts here are Mixon, Stroud, and Dell, and then of course Dalton Schultz with the tight end landscape. We don't need to beat that into the ground.
Well, I mean, what's crazy is this past week, National Tight End Day, which I guess we should have brought up on the podcast if that was.
Yeah, that was our bad.
And apparently, every tight end in the world was like, "This, you got to do something." It's like it was a collective birthday. Like everybody had to get a little something, and we had like one of the best tight end weeks I can remember. I mean, maybe in a long time, definitely this season, but probably a couple since the last tight end day last year that tight ends were that relevant. But I'm hoping with the guys out that Dalton Schultz is potentially the option that comes up here. That would be nice.
I would imagine. And then on the other side, I guess we got to talk about another wide receiver. I don't want to even call it an injury, but failure. Devontae Adams has not done anything. And once again, this could be something along the lines of, learning the playbook or whatever. But the fact that he got 9 targets in his first game out and then 6 targets the second game, I know that game was weird and gross, but like you would have expected a double-digit target situation for Adams, right? Like it's weird to me that he didn't. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you need to, still trot him out there. But if you need to sit him, understand he's got a good matchup. Houston Texans defense, although good, not great. So, Adams and Garrett Wilson are good to go, and then Breece Hall plus matchup against the Texans. That's one of the things they're the worst at. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Super flex for sure, but like after that.
I feel like you're going to end up feeling bad that you start Aaron Rodgers on Thursday and you got to sit there with that like 7 or 8.
Those are some long 3 days, man.
Oh, it kills me every time. Like Cooper Kupp last week got like 10 points. I think he might have been less than that.
It was 10. Yeah, it was 10. That's fine.
Oh, okay. I was just like sitting there the whole time. Well, no, but like with the bench I had, I was just like, damn, this is not going to be enough. And surely enough, I lost the game because of that. But
actually, I think Kupp got like 15 in PPR, actually.
16. I know it wasn't very much.
He had 16
Luka came back and was amazing immediately.
Which, don't get me started on that one. But back to the Jets. Yeah, I mean, it's possible that Adams is still just getting acclimated. I'm not worried about him. I'm still starting him.
I still think Garrett Wilson's the best player on this team, wide receiver wise. Like I know that they went and got Devontae, and Devontae is a good player. I still don't see. Was this the problem? Was wide receiver the issue? I just don't know.
Well, the good news is Devontae Adams is going to be featured, and he's going to have to be featured, and otherwise this team's not going to exist. So like they're fighting for anything, any semblance of a playoff berth that they can get. Fortunately, the AFC is pretty weak, but I think Texans win for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a statement game for the Texans. Not that the Jets are good, but I think they're going to show that they're not just their great wide receivers in Stroud in this one. So
here's the thing. I think it's going to be the Jets.
I mean, they have to win if they're going to continue.
I think Jets have a very plus matchup, and something very key happened today why I think they're going to win. Greg Zuerlein was put on the IR. That's been their issue. Greg Zuerlein sucks as a kicker. He's cost them 3 games.
He has lost them a couple games,
and now that he isn't on the team, I think there is actually a chance that they are able to prove that they can win a football game. So I'm actually going with the Jets. You got to win one of these games, right? It can't be 2-7. That's crazy.
Have to.
Yeah. All right, on to the Dolphins versus the Bills. The Dolphins came back. It looked all right. I think this week will be better than what they showed against the Cardinals. That was a very plus matchup for Tua, but I wouldn't say that he looked great coming back. I do think Devon Achane's good to go. Raheem Mostert, surprisingly, I think is good to go. Tua should look better this week, even though the Bills is a tough matchup. And obviously Tyreek is a good to go, but everyone else, I don't know. I don't trust Jalen Waddle unless
Jalen Waddle's dead until Tyreek moves on. I don't think there's any way.
I think I have to agree.
I don't know, man. Waddle should have stepped up, and he did not, and he still continues to not. So I honestly he wasn't even the second leading receiver on the team. So Tyreek, look for a big game from him this week. I think, like Billy said, I think Tua just needed a week to acclimate, and honestly, didn't play terribly. I mean, he kept the ball.
It wasn't what you thought. That's all I was saying.
He ran a few times, which I was kind of shocked at. He kept the ball on his side. It wasn't an amazing game for him with a good matchup, but 100 passer rating is pretty good. I mean, for a guy coming back from the dead, essentially.
Enough. Yeah.
I think Achane's due for a big week in this one. I love seeing Mostert come back last week, but I think Achane and his receiving work is going to kick some ass this week.
I mean, he was the star of that last week. If they just didn't have Raheem Mostert as the vulture, Devon Achane would have had an all-star week last week with 3 potential touchdowns. He only had 1 receiving. I think this week will be better. For him.
Most are getting all of the red zone work makes sense, but it's very worrisome for Achane.
It hurts the soul for those Achane owners out there.
Yeah. You knew it was going to happen though when you drafted him, right? Like not red zone, but you knew that he was going to be involved, and they honestly had similar touches. But Achane's always going to provide a little bit more of a spark. Mostert's fast, but Achane is faster at this point in his career. On the other side, man, all those people who started Amari Cooper, I feel for you. 1 catch for 3 yards hurts. So Shakir, do not get cute here. That's definitely the fluke guy that's going to hit every once in a while. Keon Coleman, I think, is relatively a start at this point. I mean, he's been garnishing like 7-8 targets a game. I understand why you wouldn't. I mean, I think it's a low flex play, but other than that, Kincaid and Cook and Allen are the three. Ray Davis still getting some work, but not quite yet. I think he can be rostered, though. I think that's one of those guys that needs to be rostered in leagues, one of those pickups that we're going to see later in the year.
I think you got to start Shakir every week.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Really?
I don't think it's fluky at this point. I mean, he's consistently 15 points every game.
I mean, I guess he has had a better year than I've really let on, but
he's got
I feel like this was
a floor that you're not you're never going to be happy with it, but you're going to be like he didn't bust me out this week. He's not the reason I lost.
I mean, in PPR, he's like the perfect flex guy. That's
for sure.
10 points or whatever, but I mean, that's the Austin Ekeler of wide receivers right here.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be happy with that.
Fair enough.
Would you be?
Bills are going to win this game, by the way. I don't know if we need to go any further than that.
Yeah, I think we can just go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah,
no love for the Dolphins in a divisional game.
I mean, they didn't. They have had some pretty tough divisional games so far. So I mean,
it's in Buffalo. I just don't believe in it. I think if it was in Miami, probably Miami would come back with a vengeance here. But
I mean, they lost 31-10 last time they played week 2. So I mean, and that was with their fully healthy team. So I have to go with Buffalo as well.
And that was in Miami. Yeah, I don't know. I just believe in the Bills, we didn't. Bills, by the way, have been just one of the most shocking things about this football season so far. Like, I just can't believe that they shredded their defense, and it's now almost better than what it was. And it's like, what? Like, so all the players that you were paying all this money to were the reasons you were losing, like, the whole time? What in the world? But whatever. It's working for them.
I think that dude from the Yankees game is going to go like pry it out of Tyreek Hill's hands, like take the quick drive over.
He just might. Yeah, that was insane. I can't believe that they allowed that to happen. All right, on to the Broncos-Ravens. On the Broncos side, it can be pretty quick. Javonte, there's better days ahead. I think you're still okay there. Bo Nix, man, he's like, I don't know what it is about him. He's still not trustable in fantasy just quite yet, but there's just something about this kid. He's got it. I don't know what it is, but he's got it. And I think eventually he might be startable in fantasy. Courtland Sutton back from the dead. We just went on this whole rant 2 weeks ago about I don't know if Courtland Sutton's going to be cut out for this team. And then past week, he comes back and throws up a 100-yard game real quick on us. Troy Franklin back to the depths of hell for him. I think Courtland Sutton is okay. I mean, the week I say this now, he's probably going to catch like 2 balls for 10 yards. But I think in this game where it's going to be a shootout potentially with the Ravens, I do think that Sutton's probably has the best matchup as far as like going to get the targets.
After seeing what Tillman, the fact that Tillman, Moore, and Judy all got like almost 80 yards or more, it just says all I need to know about this matchup for Sutton. Like he is very startable this week.
Yeah, Sutton's a smash start. I have a stat because I've had some trepidation in starting Broncos players all year. It's pretty wild. The Broncos have scored more points than the Eagles this year. How does that make you feel, Josh?
Where did that come from?
We had a bye week.
I know, but still.
I don't know.
Doesn't it make you feel more comfortable to start these guys when you see it like that? Because, I don't know, Sutton's in a smash spot. I had to start Nix last week, and it worked out, thank God. But
I see Josh, like, fuming. Just go to the Baltimore Ravens, please. Just move. We'll get to the Eagles.
I wasn't that worried about it. I'll go ahead and talk about the Ravens.
Okay, see how your audio got different as soon as you started talking about it? That makes me think you ripped out your cord in your mic.
The problem was me the whole time, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. Anyway, Lamar.
Well, now you sound quiet. Not that we're having to do this on the podcast.
Derrick Henry, absolutely. Zay Flowers, maybe. Everyone else, absolutely not. The Deontay Johnson ad will probably not affect Zay Flowers this week. I think you could probably play him. But I feel like you got to be worried about it. They added another receiver. There's going to be too many mouths to feed on this team. Mark Andrews is still a start at some point. You have to believe, and I think this is the time.
That's fair.
It's weird that as soon as Mark Andrews comes back to life, we get fucking Deontay Johnson in there to wreck that. It's an Isaiah Likely game. He's scoring.
I just don't trust anybody.
We're not doing that. Please don't start Isaiah Likely.
I don't trust anybody on this football team that's not named
You're
Derrick Henry
entering tournaments in daily fantasy football.
Put him in daily
put
fantasy
Isaiah Likely.
Sure. Please feel free to put him in daily fantasy. Please do not start him in your regular leagues right now. Like I can't feel comfortable doing that.
That's fair. I don't trust anybody in this game, so I won't be starting any of them. Still don't trust Mark Andrews. He can score a touchdown the rest of the season. I don't trust Mark Andrews. But it's just the way it is. Yeah, this is going to be a good football game, actually. It's going to be a sloppy game, but it's going to be fun. Ravens win?
Yeah.
Man, after they lose to the Browns, though, I think this is more of a question than you think.
It is.
I'm going to pick the Ravens.
It's going to be fun. All right, on to a weird game, the Chargers versus the Browns. Joe, who on the Browns do you feel is good to start with Wint Jameis this week?
Man, if the Chargers weren't so vicious on defense, I'd be way more excited about this game. But, I think Cedric Tillman is got to be considered as at least a flex play this week. And I think Nick Chubb's in the same category. I don't think Jameis is going to replicate what he did. And Njoku is obviously starting for you at tight end. So I like those guys. I'm down on this offense overall. My question for you is, are we moving Cedric Tillman for the hype that he's generated right now?
Trying to trade him away?
Yeah, because he had two excellent matchups.
He's going to be. You can't trade him after this week because trade deadlines are coming up. I imagine in your leagues, and after this week, he's going to be locked up against Asante Samuel. It's going to be a lot tougher sledding for him for sure.
He's at the 21 targets the last 2 weeks. I'm just nervous about it. It's the Browns and it's Jameis, and I've seen this before with both teams. I just don't trust it. At the same time, I love Cedric Tillman. I want him on my team, and I do think that he could be in wide receiver 2 conversation at least the rest of the season. So I'm just very much on the seesaw with this one.
I'm not against moving him just because you have the chance of getting someone good or nice bench fill-in, or if you're in need of a running back or another wide receiver. I don't know. It's interesting because I don't know what you should do, but I do like the idea of moving him now while he's super hot.
I think
it's just like, is it hype or is it a league winner? Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
I think if you're not competing, you move him. If you are competing, you keep him because he can potentially win you the league. But if you're not competing and somebody else is, I would say try to bilk something out of that person that is competing so that you can maybe try to rebuild your team faster, because who knows if this guy is going to be worth it next season. I do think that there's a wide receiver coming to this team at some point through the draft or whatever. Bad wide receiver draft, though, so who knows? I don't know. Maybe Tillman could be a guy.
I like Tillman. My only thing is he's been on the team now for the whole off season. They didn't. They had Amari Cooper there, but he got no hype all year that I've heard of. And you think at least they would be like, "Oh, hey, this guy's pretty good in camp," and we'd hear something about it. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. On the Charger side of the ball, this is one of the things I wanted to bring up. McConkey might be a legitimate league winner by the end of the season. I feel like we see this every year with rookie wide receivers where we just haven't really seen them get in a groove. We haven't really seen them flash or anything. And I know this is the biggest game he's had this season. I'm not trying to just play what have you done for me lately with him, because he had a 35-point game this past week. But I think that they're finally starting to see what this offense should look like passing wise. I think we were confused about it in the beginning. I think we wanted to be a really, really heavy run team, but something just seemed to click these past couple weeks with their passing to where I'm now thinking that there is a chance that they'll scheme up better things. And we did see this at Michigan from time to time. As much as I hated on J.J. McCarthy, there was some games where he threw big-time passes and actually made the passing offense look legit. But at the end of the day, you're starting Dobbins. I think McConkey's going to win people leagues this season. I'm starting to think Herbert is back in the starting discussion at the very least.
Oh, I was about to say this is just Herbert grinding right now, and you can't even say it's him getting more healthy because I feel like he's getting more and more injured as the season goes on. Herbert's out here to show that he's still relevant, not fantasy. He's not worried about that, but just showing that he is still that guy. And honestly, the fact that he's gotten them to a 4-3 record with the way they've played is amazing. And it has been Herbert. Herbert's the one who moves the ball down the field. He's been getting 350 the game before, and then almost 300 yards this last game. Herbert's going out there to play, and yes, Dobbins is still very relevant and still will have his big games, and they're going to lean on him as much as they can. I mean, he's always going to be getting right around that 20 carry mark. So I think Herbert's very, very startable at this point. I mean, it'd be nice to see a little bit more touchdowns. I feel like Dobbins kind of has been stealing those all year, but relevance and understatement.
They're getting better, I think, week by week, offensively.
Yeah. I mean, I love Lad McConkey. I'm concerned about the usage. I mean, he only saw 6 targets, 60% of snaps last week. I mean, is it the hip or, what are we doing with these wide receivers here? Because now when we get Quentin Johnson back in the fold, does he automatically come back in and play more snaps than Lad? That's my only concern with it. I mean, what I'm seeing on the field from him is awesome. He has the chemistry with Justin Herbert. So hopefully we can see that grow because, I mean, it was clearly effective last week and it's been effective the rest of the season. Assuming he's healthy, I can see where you're going with the league winning stuff because he's got the game for it for sure. I just don't know what to make of this offense still.
QJ was falling off before he got injured, unfortunately. I think he's going to be relevant still, but it's not going to be – it's Lad that's the number one going forward. And honestly, these two together have a chance to make a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins style combo with the two of them. And I don't think Quentin Johnson's quite to the T. Higgins level, or I don't think either of them are really quite to each of their levels, but – it's
a very bold take.
It was very bold. I thought we were just going to let it pass.
You got a guy who can sling the ball down the field. It could make it that far. I'm just saying.
I think it will always be a run-first offense, though, is the problem. And then these guys will just eat where they can. But McConkey, I think his target share, it's been hovering at the same target share the whole year for the most part. But I think
the last
quality of targets are going
first. The last game should have been a run first against the Saints. They should have won that game by the run, but you know what they did? They won it by the pass. So they won it through the air, and that is something that's going to be relevant throughout the year. That's what I'm saying. Herbert's finally saying, hey, let me throw the ball, and they are doing it. And Dobbins is still going to get his work. It's not a problem to him. It's no deficit to him.
Fair enough. Who do you think wins?
I got the Chargers. I think they're rolling right now.
I don't even know, man. Give me Cleveland. I want Cleveland. Give me Jameis all day.
It would be cool if Jameis won. Okay, on to the Saints versus the Panthers. Don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this one. Panthers-wise, I did see Adam Thielen might be coming back. We'll see. I don't think there's any rush to put him back in this lineup. Deontay Johnson is now gone. Bryce Young is starting. And Jonathan Brooks is practicing in full this week. So what to expect from this team, I have no idea. I think we're going to see a completely different game plan than we've seen the entire run so far. I don't really think I trust anyone. Maybe Leggett, maybe Brooks, but Brooks is his first week out, so he might be on a snap count. I don't know. What are you guys doing with Panthers this week, or do we even need to spend any time on this?
No, you wasted way too much time on this. Everyone is sitting. Even Jonathan Brooks. I love Coker. I think he's great, but the spread is real for Bryce. Bryce literally threw 7-6-5-7 to wide receivers and Miles Sanders. I mean, it's not like Coker's getting more work than anyone, right? Like, I understand why he's the hot commodity coming off the waiver wire. I'd love to see Thielen do it. I think if Thielen's active, you can think about playing him. I understand the whole let's start Jonathan Brooks right away. And I mean, it is a good matchup for them. Let's see how much he gets, before we start rolling him out there. If he gets 8 carries for 60 yards, you're still only getting 6 points. You know what I mean? And then Chuba's going to be involved in the passing game, or Miles Sanders, whoever it is. So it's going to be a split to start for sure until Jonathan Brooks takes over. And sure, he could. I'm not betting my fantasy. You made it this far. you don't. If you need Jonathan Brooks, sure, but like I doubt you do.
I like how you said we spent too much time talking about it and then talked about it even more. It's
Chuba.
It's Chuba Hubbard. The Saints are giving up 200 yards rushing. Chuba is still the starter. They're not going to throw Brooks out there for a full workload. It's not going to happen. You're starting Chuba. I think you're fine doing it. He's going to be involved and on the field.
Fireball bet on that one, buddy. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll know. We'll know. I love the we'll knows. Billy, write that down.
Okay. The will knows. Saints, who are we trusting other than Kamara?
Nobody. Bub means, ain't it?
It's a big Olave game,
back,
man.
Right? We have Carr
sorry,
back.
Olave is there too. Sorry, I kind of forgot he had a concussion.
Yeah. Carr back. We have Mason Tipton out of nowhere.
Olave and Kamara. This one's simple. I'm not digging too much into this.
Yeah, no,
that's fair.
That's it.
All right, fair enough.
Taysom can be fun, you know.
I think with Carr back, I think that the Saints win this game.
I got the Panthers.
Give the Bears that high second.
Saints.
Oh, do you?
I do. It's gonna be an ugly game. It's a divisional game, man. They always get real gritty around these. So I think Carolina actually finally gets a win, and it doesn't look pretty by any means.
Yeah, I like the Saints here, but that'd be cool. Except the Bears get a worse pick though in the second.
Yeah,
don't worry, you'll be fine. Instead of the first pick, you'll get the second pick. You'll be okay.
Bears pick is all that matters right now. All right, on to the Raiders versus the Bengals. Josh, is there any Raider that you trust right now?
So there is a guy that I am a big fan of. His name's Gardner Minshew. We have the same mustache currently for those audio listeners. This is for a Halloween costume. I actually do like Minshew in this matchup as a flex or as a streaming option if you need him. Cincinnati's defense has been giving up everything to everyone. Just want to let you know. And then Jacoby Myers to pair along with that could be kind of dangerous. You know, be careful though. It's spicy, so we don't have the button, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Jacoby came back from injury, got 52 yards and a touchdown, 7 targets. I think moving forward with Devontae Adams gone, Jacoby is all day. Running back wise, I hate it. But you can start Alexander Madison as a flex or as your, emergency running back. Other than that, I'm pretty much out other than Brock Bowers, which I think is the most obvious pick here. Trey Tucker, I know, Joe, I know you wanted it to be. And honestly, he has all the opportunity here, and it's just not happening at the moment. So
get him a quarterback. It'll happen.
And then DJ Turner, I think you have to take that with a grain of salt, guys. It's not.
I can't believe we're still talking Raiders. Joe, how are the Bengals doing?
Jamar Chase is about to go through the effing stratosphere with the amount of points he's going to put up. I do not trust Chase Brown, even though he is a juicy matchup. I know he's been good. I'm sorry, guys. I don't trust it. And, if Higgins plays, start Higgins, obviously. If he doesn't, it's not Yoshi. It's Mike Gesicki that benefits from it. So keep that in mind when you're setting your lineups.
I agree completely.
We talked
Bengals win.
About the Raiders. Yes.
Because the Raiders suck. I can't believe we made it that far with the Raiders.
I'm sorry. I like Gardner Minshew, all right? He had a good game last week. I think he keeps the momentum going. Devontae Adams was the problem, clearly. All
right, on to the Commanders versus the Giants. The GOAT, Jaden Daniels, takes the field again. Obviously, I think he's number one quarterback going forward, in my opinion. Terry McLaurin, obvious start. Like him a lot. Brian Robinson, also solid as usual. It's kind of hard to get a read for the rest of this team because they don't exactly score a lot of touchdowns in these defensive matchups, and I think the Giants are going to play them a little tough defensively. But I don't know, maybe Zach Ertz as well, probably.
Dude, Zach Ertz has actually been coming on, and it wasn't just tight end week either. Like he's been getting work the last few weeks. So
he should have had that touchdown last week.
He was the most targeted person.
He had that bullshit no catch touchdown.
Yeah, no, Zach Ertz looks amazing at the ripe age of 33, which I appreciate because same age, guys.
That's true. Man, he seems like such an older man than us, but he's not.
He is not. That's just because he's old.
Is it concerning at all that Ekeler has played more snaps than Bijan Robinson both weeks since he's come back?
Concerning? What's concerning is that Ekeler hasn't gotten fantasy points. It makes no sense. He was averaging 10, 11, and then the last two against Carolina. Against Carolina, I completely understand. Like, that game doesn't count, right? Like, you can just wash that away. Like, the game didn't matter. Chicago, that game was within reach the whole time. Like, there was no, we flip-flopped in the fourth quarter. I mean, like, how Ekeler was not involved makes no sense to me.
But that's why it worries me that Ekeler is on the field more than B-Rob in a game that they were winning pretty handily the entire game. It's just, is Bijan Robinson more injured than we think he is? Is this something that...
It's a hamstring injury.
They tip their hands with passing downs when Eckler's out there, and when it's running downs, it's Bijan Robinson out there.
Considering they only have like 2 wide receivers who catch balls on that team, it's wild that they do that. Like, just put 2 running backs out there at that point if you want to pass Ekeler, and not to mention you can run still. Like,
Noah Brown, Mr. Magneto.
I know.
No, that was just. I mean, we know why that happened now after seeing who was over at the chirping at the fans, who was supposed to be covering them.
Let's not bring this up. This isn't the Chicago game.
Salt in the wound, Bill. Salt in the wound.
We're not going to get to
how about the Giants?
I was going to say, on the Giants side of the things, it's literally Nabers and then Tyrone Tracy, my man. But other than that, you are out.
If he plays, right? I think it's Singletary.
If he plays, yeah, he's got a concussion at the moment. I'm just assuming, like, I'm just saying, moving forward, like, you don't need to talk about anyone else. Slayton, not going to happen every time. Wandale, and Slayton are going to be universal, like, flip-flops. It's you pick which one you want. But Nabers still coming in with 14 points. I mean, you can't complain about that. Tracy is the running back moving forward. Yes, I guess you could start Singletary while Tracy's out. I guess he's got something to fight for in this game. Commanders' defense isn't great against the run, so, I mean, you could definitely do it. I just don't suggest it. I mean, this is your last time you're going to ever start Singletary, probably. So,
I think you're wrong about Slayton. I think he is a startable wide receiver right now. I think he is a good wide receiver 2 option in the NFL. And I'm only saying that as somebody who has lost Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and the plethora of other random people that have gone down throughout the season. I actually think Slayton is a decent fill-in for anybody who is hurting at wide receiver. Like, I know a lot of our brothers and sisters out there are right now.
You got 3 of 8 double-digit points. So I guess I just like to look at that as not consistent enough. And I'm talking 4 of those 8 were under 5 targets. So I just, hard for me.
That's because Daniel Jones sucks.
Throwing the ball.
Well, that's because Daniel Jones sucks.
Well, I think what's happening is teams are like double and triple covering Nabers now, and they realize they need another deep element, which is, it's interesting because Wandale seems to be the guy that loses targets when Slayton goes up. So I'm worried about Wandale, honestly.
That's who I'd be
I think
Slayton. Honestly,
I think Slayton's actually startable, and I mean Malik Nabers. He had a down game for his standards the last 2 weeks, but the thing I love is once this offense gets in the red zone, it is only Nabers. That's the only person. I mean, they barely even use the running backs. They throw it to Nabers every time. So
it doesn't matter which one Daniel Jones chooses. He always chooses the wrong guy to target. Like, there was literally a play where they had Nabers and Slayton running the exact same route in man coverage, and he threw the wrong one. And then he did it again later in the game, and it was just like, oh, bud, you gotta look at the defense, man, from a holistic thing, not. Sorry for the audio listeners, you didn't get that one. Just check out the YouTube page for that. I don't know how to tell you. I don't know how to make that. I don't know how to vocalize that. I guess
it was a funny looking pass. Commanders win this game. I love a good Commander.
Giants win.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to give Joe this.
Okay. On to the Dallas versus the Falcons game. The Falcons are fun again, guys. I actually enjoy watching this football team quite a bit. They're kind of exactly the opposite of what the Jets are going through. They are, I will admit, they are a pass rusher away, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, like, well, they should have drafted a pass rusher instead of Michael Penix at 7. Bunch of fucking idiots. I get that, but, like, the thing is, Kirk is made of glass. If he goes down, this team might still have a chance. They're definitely going to win the division now with the Buccaneers pretty much all on IR. And I think that they're going to need him at some point to step in because Kirk's going to limp off with an ankle or something for maybe a couple of plays, and they're going to need Penix. I think he's going to come in and play well. So I don't think that's a very useful thing for people to keep harping on, the fact that they didn't take a pass rusher. But Kirk is in the zone. He's a startable. Bijan, I like him quite a bit.
God.
Tyler Algier is a flex consideration. Kyle Pitts, the holy savior, Saint Kyle Pitts, is finally here. We've been wondering. It's been 3 years. He's finally come back to save us, and that's been a happy occurrence this season. And then Drake London, down week last week. Don't look too much into that. Darnell Mooney, obviously startable at the wide receiver 2 spot.
Why do you hate Bijan?
Yeah, why do you hate Bijan?
I don't know. They just don't make running backs like they used to.
Dude, he had that 30-yard touchdown called back last week, which is the same thing that happened against the not the Bucks, who they play earlier.
If they have to have a penalty to get that 30 yards, it doesn't mean much to me.
The man puts up 25 plus in 3 straight games. Sorry, 23 in the third game, and you're still down on him. Like, didn't he prove you wrong already? Are we not done with that? Are we still?
No, I like him. I like it. I like Bijan Robinson a lot. That's what I started off this whole thing by saying I like Bijan Robinson. What
I was actually posing the question to Josh because he was like, "Oh my god!" Like as soon as you said,
"Oh no."
No, Josh is mad at me because he thinks I'm still down on Bijan, and I'm not. I just they don't make running backs like they used to for me. So that's
you're literally saying they don't make running backs like they used to, but the man puts up 100 yards in 3 straight games, and we're still because he did it through the air. Is that your problem with it? Like he's not putting up 100 on the ground, like that's an issue. He got 13 fucking carries.
He's not Jerome Bettis, man. I'm sorry.
He's not Adrian Peterson.
I don't know.
Not LaDainian Tomlinson. He's not Sean Alexander.
All right, on the other side,
not Marshawn Lynch. He's not Derrick Henry.
About running backs like they don't.
He's not Austin Ekeler. He's not Todd Gurley.
Not Eric Dickerson. Walter Payton.
He's not. What was the guy's name? Devontae Freeman.
He's better than Devontae Freeman. I'm going to draw the line there.
Okay, well,
Josh is tapped out.
Since Joe drew the line,
I'm taking this time to respond to an email that I need to talk to. It's just ridiculous.
Joe, do you want to tell us about the one good Cowboy that's playing right now?
Yeah, you can start CeeDee Lamb. You should have been starting CeeDee Lamb. I mean, dude, I think it's wheels up for CeeDee Lamb the rest of the year because they have nothing on offense. I don't know. Pick up Khalil Herbert. He's going to be a Cowboy like we all said he would be. It's just going to be later in the season.
I hate the Cowboys, man. I just hate them
so
much.
Bad.
They're so frustrating to watch. And then the ultimate pump fake that they pulled this last week where they're like, Rico Dowdle's sick all of a sudden, so we're elevating Dalvin Cook. And it's like, oh, shit, Dalvin Cook's playing? And it's like, no, not at all. He's not going to play very much, and he's not going to be a useful start. And Zeke, you remember him? He's also not a useful start in this game. He did score a touchdown, so he pretty much got your points back. But he's not what you wanted the running back to be in that spot.
Yeah, which is wild. That's crazy. Zeke was actually pretty decent on the Patriots last year. Like, I mean, not great, but like as a half the workload kind of guy. Like, and then this year can't do anything in Dallas. But the problem is,
I mean, you're starting CD.
They need a second. You can't just have CD, right? Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're starting CD and Ferguson. I mean, they're getting like 70% of the targets between them.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Cowboys should have listened. I mean, we are nobodies, and we were like, this team does not have enough talent to compete. And damn it, if that's not exactly what happened, they don't have enough talent to compete. Not even on defense, by the way. Like, I know Jerry's like, oh, we paid this person and this person. It's like, yeah, you waited until it got to the most expensive fucking thing to do, and then you paid them. And that didn't make any sense when you did it. Like, CD should have been paid before Justin Jefferson, but whatever. They're stupid. Falcons win.
I actually disagree. I think this is a complete shootout. Atlanta's defense is a liability, to say the least, and the fact that they let Buccaneer-less, wide receiver-less Buccaneers, whatever way you want to look at it, score as many points as they did, I think the Cowboys can put up enough points to cover the spread. I think Cowboys win.
I just wanted the Falcons to win, so I'm not
okay.
Man,
Joe, you were making us hang on there for a second.
Yeah, I just suspenseful, you know.
On to the most fun game of the noon slate, if I can say so myself. The Titans versus the Patriots. Does anybody have anybody? We're just going to collectively talk about both of these teams at one time. Is there anybody in this game that you feel good
Tony effing Pollard? He's got a foot injury. He might not play, honestly.
Well,
I don't know. It's Wednesday.
That's what I was
But
about
it's
to say.
Tony fucking Pollard if he plays.
It's
Drake
so the
May
problem
might be
is
out.
like Stevenson would be the guy that you'd want to play, right? But the Titans are stout against the run, so like it's like, what do you do? Like, I mean, you still play Stevenson, obviously, and then I think you start Pollard, or if Pollard sits, you start Spears, and that's a free agent pickup if I've ever heard one in redraft. I mean, Spears should be available pretty much everywhere. So, I don't love it, but those are your two options. Like,
and if Spears misses, it's Julius Chestnut.
I guess we can talk about Ridley for just like a second. I don't want to spend too much time on him. He finally had a good game, so like good for him.
It feels like a fake out to me. It feels like the result where you're like, oh hell yeah, he's finally back. I'm putting him in my lineup, and then he's going to go out there and have like 4 for 30.
Yeah, this game screams 13-10 to me. Like that's
the under is going to hit. If anybody out there is a gambler. Whatever the end, it's 37.5. Yep, that is gonna hit. No way.
I will say I do like this offense a lot more under Rudolph. That's one good thing.
Definitely.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm not sure it's gonna happen. It probably won't, but I would love to see this just be like the shootout of the week, out of nowhere.
We just talked about
that would be insane.
That's the Cowboys.
That would be literally insane, Joe. If it was the shootout of the week,
I just want it to happen. I'm trying to will it out there.
For sure.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're all losers in this game, but I think that the Titans probably win it.
I'm gonna pick the Patriots. I don't really care though. Like I have no strong opinions.
The refs.
Nice.
I think
Tennessee wins.
The reason I'm picking the Patriots is because of May. Like he looks like he has something there, even though he doesn't have a wide receiver 1, 2, or 3. He's out there still making plays.
That's fair. All right, on to Joe's favorite team, the Bears versus the Cardinals. Joe, who out of these Bears are you feeling good about other than maybe DeAndre Swift?
I don't feel good about Swift.
No, other than him. I'm assuming you feel good about him.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, he's in a killer spot. I thought you were like, nah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, start DJ Moore. I know it's been rough. I know it's going to continue being rough, but he's still got the talent. He's still at least flex worthy, wide receiver 2. So it's a great matchup for a lot of these guys. It'll be a good bounce back game, especially for the embarrassment last week. Hopefully they bounce back. So I like Kmet. I like Moore. Allen sitting. Rome sitting. Roche. If you're in a really deep league and you need a touchdown, then you can start Roshan. But
Joe, can I ask a question?
About
the Bears?
Yeah, please.
Why do they wait until the last couple of drives of the fourth quarter to finally let Caleb Williams play football?
I don't know, man. I was saying this. We know what the Commanders are against the pass, and they're one of the easiest teams to pass on. And we were just like, hey, we're just going to run it every single time against them. And Deron Payne was not having it at all. Neither was Jerzon Newton. He was really effective too. So, but then the fourth quarter, we're like, oh, we should probably throw. Dude, I don't know. It's Chicago philosophy.
It just feels like, when you and your buddies around the neighborhood were all on bikes, but then there was that one kid that still had training wheels on. It kind of feels like that. Like the Bears are that kid with the training wheels, and it's like, let's just pop those puppies off. Let's let this sucker fly. And I think that's what the Bears need to do. Like, let's get it. Let's go. Come on, guys. We're playing NFL football right now. Like, let's play. Like, he looks so good when they just let him do his thing. But the first 3 quarters look constipated.
What a phenomenal
They really do.
analogy. Oof.
That was excellent. That's going to be in my brain
like.
now all the time.
Take the training wheels off. On the other side of the ball, Cardinals, Kyler Murray, James Conner, Trey McBride, all good to go. Love to see Trey McBride being the leading receiver, yardage, targets, all the above. This is how it should have been. Hopefully it's not just a National Titans Day. He's already been getting at least solid work to start with. I'm a little worried about Marvin Harrison this week, right? Like he finally had a good week, caught that amazing touchdown in the back of the end zone. But this week he gets to go up against the stellar defensive backs of Chicago. And after, like, you just look at, like, oh, man, he did good against Miami. That's great. He beat Jalen Ramsey on that corner route. Is he going to be able to do that again? Because, like, I'm kind of terrified against Chicago, like, this week. Like, 3-4 bad weeks in a row, and then he finally gets a big one. This is what we want. Once again, I just think we're a year off of Marvin Harrison. So, like, it's just, like, next year's going to be great. This year's fine. It's just it's wide receiver 2 football, right? Like you're gonna have bad weeks. So obviously you're probably starting him, but I just want to like put that out there. If you like have Metcalf and he's coming back from the injury and he gets to play, like maybe just throw him instead of Harrison. Actually, definitely do that. Sorry.
The fact that Marvin Harrison only has 50 targets in 8 games is criminal, and that needs to be evaluated.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yes.
It's absolutely. It's horrible play calling. He's a rookie. He should be getting 10 plus. He should be doing what the Giants are doing with Nabers. I love McBride, and I know he needs to get his, but Marvin Harrison needs to get that for this team to really unlock to that next level. Because right now, it's been so mediocre in Arizona when you watch these games. It's shit. And if you can establish Marvin Harrison as a weapon on the outside, I mean, even against Jalen Johnson, I think you could throw him 10, 11 targets, and this could be a pretty high-flying offense. It would kind of unlock everything else, but I'm not a coach.
I will say for the Cardinals, I think it takes time getting used to Kyler. Like, I think you have to, like, because you have these crisp routes and everything that you run, but Kyler doesn't really play like that. And you kind of need to know that you need to be in a space that nobody else is in. I think Trey McBride has figured it out perfectly, and that's why he's cooking as well as he is this season. And I think Marvin Harrison, by the end of the season, I think he will be like really, really good at it. But I think just here at the beginning, he's running the routes like they're drawn on the paper, and it's like Kyler is more of an artist. He kind of needs to draw outside the lines a little bit.
But you don't see that as much in college, right? Like he was getting the ball right away, and he knew it. Like it's you've got to play the scramble game sometimes too. Like, and yeah, that second cut matters
for sure. Joe, your Bears win. Should have won last week, but they definitely will win this week.
Cardinals win. They should have won last week.
I'm gonna say it's a tie because honestly, I think both teams could win. They're both who's the old coach for the Rams that Billy used to always compare his team to?
Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher. This is the Jeff Fisher game right here. The 4-4s. Nice. I know that the Bears aren't 4-4, but
they are 4-4, right?
Are they?
Am I lying?
I don't care. I don't know.
Fair enough. Joe's over
4-3.
4-3.
All right, on to the Jaguars versus Josh's Eagles. Before we get to the depleted Jaguars, this game did not even want to be seen by a national audience. Josh, how do you feel about the Eagles this
week? Before we get into the Eagles, we're actually going to just chat about the Minnesota Vikings for a second, who they flexed this game out to go put on primetime against the Colts, who just benched their leading quarterback. So, yeah, the Jaguars are doing bad. Everybody hates the Eagles. We all understand. But why does everybody like the Vikings and love the Vikings, I should say? It's because everyone just loves the start, right? Like they started out, 5-0? So like it looked really good on paper, right? Well, see, the problem with this is in fantasy and in NFL football, just football in general, is people always love to see, the start, right? Or the big, the wins. There's 5 wins there. Or the fantasy points that have been put up by certain players. Like, well, he technically has more fantasy points than this guy. Why would I trade him? Because I'm looking at the trends, right? They're trending downward. And no, they're not trending downward because they lost 2 games. They're trending downward because they were never supposed to be here in the first place. Like, it's Sam Darnold leading this team. Let's calm down about the Vikings. This division has 4 teams that could win the division. And this team has 4 teams could make it into the playoffs. The Vikings are trending out of that spot. There's going to be a flex spot somewhere else. I don't know if it's the Eagles. I don't know if it's the Commanders. I don't know if it's someone else from a different division, but the Vikings are trending downward, and they have a tough matchup this week, even against the Colts, because their team can lose against anyone. So I just wanted to get that out there. The Vikings are imposters. It's not real. Anyway, the Eagles, you're starting all your stars. That's literally it. And it's always
just waited until we talked about the Vikings to get to all that.
No, it was too late in the podcast. I wanted to make sure everyone knew how I felt about this flex. The second flex in a row, by the way. They flexed the Commanders Bears game, which that turned out to be a dud. And the Eagles-Bengals game was amazing. Well, for a little while, and then the Eagles took over. Anyway, Devontae Smith, all those that were worried about him, don't be anymore. A.J. Brown, you already know. Saquon, Jalen Hurts, you already know. Calcaterra can be a good fill-in for tight end if you're in a pinch, but I don't love it against this kind of matchup. So, yeah, that's it. It's pretty easy because there's 4 stars.
So, a couple things I want to talk. One, did you see that Dallas Goedert and his girlfriend, wife, lady partner, whatever she is, are being Carlos and Alan and from The Hangover? And the man with the hurt hamstring that's missing all these games is carrying his wife on a front pouch around, which, we need you, Dallas. Get back in the damn game. Yeah. Number 2, the Jags defense is bottom against quarterbacks, bottom against running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Who do we pick in this game? Is it just Saquon? Are A.J. Brown and Devonta getting scraps here because all they need to do is run the ball? Is Will Shipley going to have a big-ass game here just because they're beating them so bad? I'm worried about starting the Eagles in this one.
You got to envision that they play for the first 3 quarters, right? It'll be, let's just say best-case scenario, it's 21-3 at halftime, right? They still have to go out there and play. That's still a losable game, right? So they get another touchdown, 28, maybe a field goal, 31, and then they cut it, right? So you got 4 touchdowns to go around. You already know Jalen Hurts is getting at least one of those on the ground. And then you got Saquon, AJ, Devonta. You have to at least hope that that's the perfect spread. Obviously, it's not going to work like that every time. Saquon might get 2. Jalen Hurts might get 3. Obviously, Jalen, I think, is probably the best bet. But, yeah, I always worry about it in games like this where there's this team might not be able to score against them. So I think the Jags, although banged up, Brian Thomas, if he plays, I'm hoping he does just because
he's out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Woof. Okay. Well, never mind then. It might be rough. There's a possibility. But the problem is,
I guess the saving grace is you guys cannot score in the first quarter, which is insane to me. So that's your saving grace.
This is the week that's broken, and I'm so tired of hearing it on the broadcast, by the way. I really want to go to B-Dubs just so I don't have to hear the audio, but with my luck, they'll put the Eagles audio on for whatever reason because they don't ever choose the best game.
What if Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas were holding back Trevor Lawrence?
Hey, Parker Washington.
Gabe Davis and Parker Washington.
I think Parker Washington is definitely startable, and Gabe Davis should be picked up. Everyone rushed to get Parker, but nobody rushed to get Gabe Davis. He is still a free agent in every league.
Gabe Davis sucks. I hate him.
I hate him too. But honestly, what are the options? You know what I mean?
Do you even want an option?
Strange. I would not be starting anybody in this game.
It's Evan Ingram. That's who you pick up if he won't be available. But that's who all these targets are going to go to.
Go back to minute 5 of this podcast and learn that he'll be available.
Yeah,
it's available in 2% of leagues.
Pick him up. If Travis Etienne is available, pick him up too. He might be startable in this game.
Honestly, all right, on the Jags, I think Etienne could be startable if he plays. I think Tank Bigsby and then Evan Ingram.
I just think if you start Etienne about 5 snaps into the game, he's going to be limping off, and you're going to be like, well, fuck, here we go again.
I know you hate Etienne, but he's still the lead back on this team, dude.
I don't know how you practice for 2 weeks straight and miss both games.
Something
this is
going
weird,
on there.
dude. I don't know what's happening.
Guys.
Are we buying Tank Bigsby here? I really want to talk about that.
I do like Bigsby. I think he's more of a dynasty play than actual.
Eagles actually.
Yeah, but even after this year, are they going to bench Etienne or are they going to ship him off?
I think it'll be more split. I think it'll be more split than it was going into the season.
They're going to keep them both, man. And Etienne
are they going to get an actual football coach in there?
That's a whole other discussion. We'll see if fighting Doug Peterson is going to stay in this game. We have talked about this game for way too long. The Eagles are going to win. The Jags suck. Let's move. Got better games to talk about.
Yes, sir.
The next one is the heavyweight matchup of the week, in my opinion, although the quarterback's out. Lions-Packers. Joe, who are you not starting on the Lions?
Craig Reynolds.
You can't sit anybody on the Lions.
No.
I mean, obviously you could sit Tim Patrick, but
it is a little concerning. Jared Goff rolled his ankle in practice today. That is something to watch, but I think that there's no shot you're keeping him out.
Could you imagine backup QB versus backup QB though? Hendon Hooker.
That would be
Hooker versus Malik.
I think the Lions still win.
All right. On the Packers side of the ball, it's the Malik Willis show. We've seen this show before. Malik Willis is actually a start. He's been playing pretty good. Lions defense has been a little suspect. I think a running quarterback could give them a lot of problems. Jaden Reed, I think, is a good start. He seemed to have really good chemistry with him the first time around. And I think there's no way that they don't scheme up some good things for Kraft and Dubs. For Kraft, it might not be a lot of catches, but there might be at least one end zone shot. It seems to be his MO. And with Dubs, it does seem like he's the wide receiver 1 on this football team right now.
Yeah, actually, Josh Jacobs suffered a lot during the Malik Willis show, by the way. So,
he did. I didn't know what you guys – I mean, you have to play him, but –
I mean, yeah, 100%. I'm just saying temper expectations, and honestly, it's going to be a negative game script all game as well, more than likely. So this is going to be a great game, though, even with Neighbors, even with Willis, honestly.
Yeah, and with the way this team is trending, go pick up Marshawn Lloyd, please. We got Josh Jacobs already wearing down a little bit, so whenever he comes back, I assume he's going to get some playing
time. 127, and he's wearing down.
He did have his best game of the season last week, Joe. That is
tough to say wearing down.
He didn't practice today.
I would never say something that egregious. Can't believe you said it. Some were saying Emmanuel Wilson. I don't know who those people went silent all of a sudden.
He didn't practice today.
Those Emmanuel Wilson people went silent about 5 weeks ago.
Let's calm down about star running backs, man. I can be mad. I can get behind you if you're talking about like mid running backs. Do y'all get fucking Jacobs is trash?
I never said Jacobs was trash. I just said he's already dealing with an ankle injury. There's nobody behind him. Please pick up Marshawn Lloyd. That was my point.
Always pick up if you have a bench spot and you can pick up a backup running back. Smartest move you could do.
Fair enough. I do think the Lions win this. I know the Malik went undefeated while he was out there, but there's no way, right? Like that he wins against the Lions.
Feels like a loss for the Lions somehow, and I don't know how. And I hate it for my dad and any Lions fan out there because they know how much they
Malik Willis might end up with a huge contract after this season if he wins this game. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean the cast is just amazing around him.
Somebody named the Giants are going to make this mistake.
I do think the Lions win, but I think this is a weird game, and I'm definitely taking the under on it.
I think the Lions win as well,
but
I also think you need to worry about this if you're a Lions fan. Like, this isn't just they don't have their quarterback, like, moment. Especially because he's already gotten some play.
All right. I think that this is America's game of the week, by the way. It's kind of tough to tell, but I'm pretty sure
it is, actually.
Should be.
Okay. I agree. However, this next game also pretty good. Last one in the late window slate is the Rams versus the Seahawks. I think this is going to be a shootout of epic proportions, or it's going to be a complete dud. Nothing in the middle. Really don't think there's going to be any middleman there. On the Rams side of things, Stafford is back because his two favorite toys are back. Puka, this is the most mysterious shit I've ever seen in my life. We had no word at all that he was going to be activated from IR. We had heard that he might be, but not that he was going to be activated and then be the focal point of the offense in the same couple of days. That is insane. Didn't expect that at all. It seemed like a Sean McVay mind game, but Puka went out there and looked completely healthy, not worried at all about him. Cooper Kupp, I do expect him to get back in the end zone, which will be nice. And some of these other pieces actually looked pretty decent. I don't think they're startable, but maybe don't throw them back on the waivers if you haven't already. Like they might just be pieces you keep on your bench just in case. Kyron looks like the best running back in the league right now, which I'm excited for him. And yeah, I think the Rams are going to go into this and start throwing and firing the ball over the place.
To piggyback off of your Puka statement, not only did we have no information, but McVay said, quote, he hasn't done anything full speed since training camp, so we'll just have to see. And then he goes out and flipping lights the world on fire.
It was insane. It was insane to watch as we were going last week.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, and on the Seattle side of the ball, they got absolutely walloped by the Bills. So better days ahead for Kenneth Walker, and he's obviously starting. Metcalf says he'll be back. So obviously, if Metcalf plays, you play him because you can't sit a stud like that. I think when Metcalf starts, JSN and Lockett both go back to the bench. Like you never know which one's going to be. I guess the good news is JSN's at least getting a lot of targets. So there's a chance he gets involved. And I mean, since this will be a shootout, you'd imagine that Smith, JSN or Lockett will be playable. I just want to temper expectations because you're probably going to pick the wrong one. Like you probably have the wrong one. Whatever one's going to go off, you don't have. So I like the idea of JSN more so than Lockett just because of the targets, but Lockett can also obviously catch a deep ball. So if Metcalf doesn't play, both of them are startable immediately. And then, that's it. Geno Smith's not relevant. And I don't know. Can they pick a tight end? I don't think they can.
I mean, I think Geno's relevant. And I think Noah Fant could have a good game. He has a groin injury right now. I think it's a good matchup for him, especially with Lockett and JSN kind of cannibalizing each other.
Even with the tight end scape, I'm not starting Noah Fant anywhere ever. Like, I can't do it.
Some people make decisions.
Wrong. I'm just saying.
Some are saying,
some people are saying it's AJ
relevant. Yeah, for sure. I really want this offense to feature JSN. Like, I just want to know what that looks like.
100%.
And I know it's not going to be a week that DK's in there, but I just hope eventually we get to the point where we can see at least what it looks like. I don't know.
It seemed like it would have been last week.
It does feel like that, but it wasn't. But this, again, should be a shootout, so maybe we'll see some good JSN numbers in this one. I think the Rams win. I think they're going to come back. I think I'm on board with Josh. I don't know why I'm like this now, but Josh, I feel like you're right. I think the Rams might be on a warpath here to win this division.
They got their studs back. This is the same conversation we had about the Eagles. Well, we didn't have it, but other people did, where they're like, "Oh, the Eagles are done, man. They're toast." And it was like they're down their two top wide receivers.
Well, I just like they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year, which I know that's not the only solution to everything, but like they're not going to win it. So it's like I don't know. Why go be a first round
give it
exit?
A chance, though. You know what I mean?
That's true. Give them hell.
I just want Seahawks are going to win.
Okay.
You guys are two on the Rams' dick right now.
Jesus.
I hate Kroenke, but I still think the Rams won this game.
For some reason. All right, on to the epic Sam Darnold versus Joe Flacco matchup that they had to bump Jalen Hurts for. Can you even think of a better matchup this week? Because I personally can't. Colts Vikings, I am in love with the Colts now. Like, now that we've got the headache on the bench, I think that I'm finally ready to buy back in on the Colts. Josh Downs looks great. I know that a lot of that came with Anthony Richardson, but I think that, I don't know, he feels like a toothpaste out of the tube kind of guy, so I think I'm in on him. Pittman good, Taylor good, and I think Flacco is going to be good, even though this Vikings defense is still pretty solid, but I know that they have shown some cracks here recently.
Yeah, the Vikings are allowing almost 300 yards a game to receivers. Josh Downs was wide receiver 5 when Joe Flacco was the quarterback, and Michael Pittman was wide receiver 19. Pittman was 15 points a game with Flacco compared to 6.3 with Richardson. This has to happen for us to enjoy fantasy a little bit more this year, and it happened. So very excited about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Pittman's only double-digit games all came with Joe Flacco, all 3 games. So you have
aside from that broken coverage bullshit touchdown last week, so did Josh Downs, I think. But that was a stupid touchdown.
Yeah,
they wanted me a matchup though.
But they count. They count.
They do.
That's all that matters. All right. Well, Josh is not going to talk about the Vikings. So, Joe, what do you think about the Vikings?
I'll tell you why everyone loves the Vikings so much, Josh. It's because Sam Darnold is just a lunch pail kid. Everyone counted him out. He's down and out, and he's just fighting. He's back on the top right now, which is arguable, but that's why everyone likes the Vikings, I think. Aaron Jones, he's playing every snap imaginable, so get him in your lineup. you're starting Jefferson. It could be an Addison game. The Colts have a scrappy defense, though. And whatever you do, don't get Hockenson in your lineup this week, even if he comes back. I'm seeing a lot of that. Don't do it. So
yeah, he's not
Jones and Jefferson
to start this week. Yeah, I agree. Jones and Jefferson. Weird that you're not starting Sam Darnold, even though he's scrappy and amazing.
I just say why people like him.
He's not exactly a startable fantasy asset most of the time, cool. Unless Jane Daniels is out. When boy, you have to make decisions. But the Vikings do win this game, I think.
Poor Jordan Addison managers.
Colts.
I'm picking the Colts as well. It's going to be another bust of a game bump for the Eagles. Love it.
All right, on to the Monday Night Football game, which would have been a super fun game 3 weeks ago. The Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Chiefs. What went from what could have potentially been a high-flying game with all of the weapons that are out there has now gone probably is going to be the Chiefs just beating the shit out of the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield still leads the league in touchdown passes, so I don't think that's nothing. But I think the touchdowns are going to be a lot harder to come by in this game against the Chiefs. So Buccaneers side, I think you start the running backs with confidence. I think Otten is good, even though they are a little bit tougher at linebacker now because I think they made a trade. But overall, I just can't trust any of these wide receivers yet.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, I guess you can try to start Patrick Mahomes if you feel like it, but I don't recommend it. It's been a pretty weird season all year. Travis Kelce, of course, was featured on National Tight Ends Day, but also been weird all year. So, obviously you're starting Travis Kelce if you have him. You don't really have a choice at that point. And then Hopkins, I think maybe he comes on a little bit more, but I don't think he's startable at the moment. It's literally Kareem Hunt, Kelce, and Mahomes, and it's ugly, which is so weird to say. Worthy of a flex consideration at the very least.
I think Worthy has a big game in this one. You got 8 targets the last 2 games. They're really trying to get him involved. And I think Reed was out. He said they're going to try to get Hopkins more involved this week. They need to, but I think that might be a little bit of smoke because I think they're going to try to get Worthy going this week. So especially if you're in DK or FanDuel, I love getting Worthy in there.
Well, if Juju comes back, then it just completely convolutes this offense.
I think Juju's going back. I think Hopkins is Rashee Rice now, and then Juju's back on the bench.
But Hopkins is more like an outside receiver than anything, so I could see Hopkins staying on the outside and then Juju being the slot guy, which makes way more sense, honestly. But I don't want to start any of them. I just want to clarify.
I mean, this would be the week. The Buccaneers suck. I mean, if there's a good week to have a good offensive week, if anybody on this team, this would be a good week to do it.
I mean, I love counting on a Monday matchup, but I don't love putting Worthy in there and just waiting for him to go off. You know what I mean? At your last player to go, and then he gets 3 catches for 2 yards.
That's fair. That is fair.
Or he gets 4 for 150 and a touchdown.
That's the problem.
There's no in between. No.
The one extra catch makes a lot of a difference.
For sure. All right. I think the Chiefs win.
Chiefs.
The Bucks.
Okay. I actually hope
tired
the
of the
Bucks
Chiefs
win.
winning.
If the Bucks win this game, it would be one of the weirder. I'm not gonna say it'd be shocking. It'd just be weird results of the football season so far.
It won't happen. I just want it to happen.
That is week 9. Hopefully by now you have kind of figured out where you are. Pretty soon we're going to fire back up the Dynasty content to try to get people started on, if you're out, we don't want you to feel like you're left out. So we're going to start feeling ways to start fixing your roster and so you can win in the future. But for now, we're going to continue on with the previews. Joe, get us out of here.
Go win your leagues. Good night.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.